Hello everyone, welcome to this Chess Improvement Masterclass. First of all, we're going to talk about the opening phase. Now, many of you try to go and buy some opening book and try to memorize a lot of theory, and in the end, you get blown away by your opponent and he's not playing the best moves. And you're like, what is this stupid doing? And then in the end, he wins against you. So, the best way to go about the opening phase is to simply play any opening that you like without actually memorizing anything. Like when I play like the Queen's Gambit, he plays d4, he plays d5, and I go for c4. No matter what he plays, okay, I don't really understand, or memorize theory. I just play this, and I try to put the knight on c3, the other knight on knight at f3, get the bishop out, and just play e3, and try to castle kingside, and then we have a game. I don't play the best moves. I don't play theoretical moves, or I don't remember any of that. I don't memorize lines. All I have to do is just play an opening, any opening, and keep on playing the exact same opening. Okay? Now, there are some lines here that I have to know. Like, if he takes here, I can take the center. I will take the entire center, and I will win the pawn later on. So I have to know that if he takes. But if he didn't take, well, I just go for my plan, knight to c3. He goes here. I just play knight to f3. He gets the bishop out. I play, bishop out here or bishop to e5. I like to go bishop to f4. He castles, and I play e3. As you can see, I'm just developing my pieces. I developed the bishop. I developed the knight. I developed this other knight. I opened up for this bishop. And right later on, I'm just trying to take or put the bishop on d3 and try to castle kingside. This is what you're supposed to do in the opening, okay? It doesn't matter what opening you play. You can either play, if you like to play e4, and then your opponent will respond with e5. You get the knight out, he gets the knight out. You play the Italian or the Spanish opening. If you play the Italian, he gets out with the bishop. Here you can castle. He gets, knight out, attacking the pawn. You play d3, he castles. You put the rook on an active square. Get the bishop out, you play knight to f3. See, every single opening that I play, every single opening that I'm playing, I just play development move. I don't know the theory, I don't know the line, I don't know what is the best move. I just develop my pieces, and then we would have a game. Because in the opening, it doesn't matter what opening that you play. There's no such thing as the best opening for white, or the best opening for black, or this opening will give you an advantage, or what kind of bullshit they say on YouTube. No. Every single opening that you choose can be great to win the game. Simple as that. Any opening, any opening. There's just like some simple plans and principles that you have to follow. Like, as you can see, when I play the move d4, this move I'm following a principle. I'm controlling one of the important squares in the center, right? And then I want to play another move to control the important squares in the center, and I will play knight to c3. I'm just developing my pieces towards the center, so I'm following the first principle, control the center. Another one, when he tries to go for this and then just play, I quickly get the knight here and play this, or sorry, first of all I get the bishop out, and then he just castles and I play this. Let's say he plays knight to d7, and I play bishop to d3. He plays something like this, trying to get at the bishop or something, and then I castle. With this move, I'm following the second principle. So first of all, control the center squares with your pawns and your pieces. As you can see right now, the second principle, you just castle your king. I'm following opening principles. Even though this is not the best way to play this opening, I don't know. I never learned it. I never opened a book and tried to learn the Queen's Gambit or watch a YouTube video. I don't care. I just play these moves, get the pieces active, castle my king. Now I'm following opening principles, so I will never, ever get mated or be at a disadvantage in the opening phase just because I played this. No, I'm following opening principles. I will never face any problems. Okay, now another important thing. Like, let's say he developed here. Many of you in this position, okay, you got your king castled and everything. Now you're like, okay, let's push this pawn. Let's take here. Let's make this move. Let's spin the knight. Let's go here, stop the knight. Here, this is mindless moves. They are just time wasters. You're not doing anything that is beneficial for you in this game. When you make these moves, when you control the center and you can castle your king, you have to improve the position of your pieces. So, play rook to e1. Put the rook on an active square. Put the other rook on c1. Okay? Then try to expand on one of the sides, or or just try to support the center squares to go for any pawn break. This is what you're supposed to do in the opening, not just like, okay, my king is castled, I control the center, let me push, let me attack, let me take, let me do. No, you have to take it easy, okay? The opening phase is very, very important. You have to control the center, castle your king, develop your pieces, all of them, all of them. You'll put the other rook on c1. You want to put the queen on c2 to add some pressure onto the pawn and connect the rooks. So another principle of the opening principles is to connect the rooks by moving the queen out, so you will have very strong back rank that he can never make use of. This is what you're supposed to do. Okay, it doesn't matter what opening you actually play. Let's say even you actually play with the black pieces. When you see the move e4, like I personally play the Carl Khan, and when they take the center, I just go for this, and then I just get the bishop out, and I play this, and I get the knight out, and then just have a good game and just try to go for this c5 push. Whatever I play, I am trying to take control of the center. So this move is controlling this center, and I'm trying to go for the move d5, taking control of the center as well, and just developing my pieces. So there's no need to study an opening. There's no need to go for, memorization and stuff. Just play any opening that you would like, any opening. But make sure you're controlling the center squares, okay? The center squares, okay? And then make sure to castle your king. After that, make sure to get the queen out of here to connect the rooks. And then, and only then, think of a plan to attack or to target a weakness or make a weakness and then target it. Don't go for like, okay, I just took control of the center, let me just try pushing and do all of that. No, just take it easy. The opening phase is it has to be very slow so that everyone, okay, like you and your opponent will control both of your pieces and you will have a decent fight. You cannot just, checkmate your opponent. Like, let's say for against this move, he just got out with the queen here, for example, and he went here trying to attack my pawn. I'm like, what does this stupid guy is doing? Let me just go here. Now there is no bishop to c4, and his queen is very stupid looking here, and he cannot put the bishop here. Even if he takes knight, he develops knight attacking this twice. I can just play knight here, attacking the queen, developing defending the pawn. He needs to move the queen away, and then after that we just develop, and his queen in a very bad square, and we will take control of the center. This is why you should not care what your opponent does when he tries to go for this early queen attacks or, only with one piece or two piece attacks on your king. Just develop your pieces. Develop them. Look, I'm completely safe. My king is completely safe. I'm taking control of the center. My pieces will get out. And all of what he's doing, look, his queen is there. He cannot develop his knight. The bishop is garbage. This bishop is garbage because the pawn was not pushed, and he cannot push it even because of my knight is controlling that square. See? This is what you're supposed to do in the opening phase. Now we will continue to the middle game. See you soon. Okay, now we're going to talk about the middle game and how to navigate the middle game correctly. Now I'm going to show you a game that I played against a lower rated player just to show you the kind of blunders and the kind of mistakes a lower rated player plays. He is a 1200 ELO player, and I played the move d4, he played d5, and I played for I went for my queen's gambit. This is my opening that I know, and he went knight to f6. I developed my knight, and he took me here. After he took me here, I decided to, just take the center. I have very good control of the center. I will take the pawn later, and he cannot defend it. So now he just played knight here, and this is a very common move because he's attacking this pawn twice, okay, and I'm also defending it only once. And after maybe like I try to defend the pawn, he will go knight to a5, to defend the pawn, and I cannot take it. So I played the move d5 right away, attacking him. He cannot go here because after this check, we will pick up the knight. He cannot go back. We will take with the pawn. So he cannot go here. He goes there, and I was like, okay, let's take more control of the center while he's just moving his knights. This pawn is protected by my bishop. This pawn is protected by the knight. And I will just take this pawn. I will develop my knight. I will castle kingside. And I have control of the entire center. My pieces, all of them are active. And my king is very, very safe, and I will get the bishop out, the queen out, and this will be a perfect position for me. And look at his pieces. Only two knights are developed, and look at them. They're not looking at anything that is actually useful, right? So now he gets out with the bishop because, me c queen, me attack queen, and this is not a good thing for to play if you are a lower rated player. You should not go for simply one movers. Okay, this is good. This move is good just because it attacks a queen, but that does not mean that you are supposed to play it. Why? Well, I'm going to show you why. Because after he goes here, I was like, okay, now the bishop here is fine. And I don't want to put the knight here because I don't want to double up my pawns. And after I castle, my king will not be safe because that file might be open. And I was like, I don't want to put the knight here and keep the bishop on the board because I already have a very good position. So let's just trade a good piece for him, for my bishop. And after he takes, I don't take with the queen, I don't take with this knight, I take with this knight, so that this is defended, everything is defended, and all my pieces are becoming active. I'm going to castle my king, the rook will be very good, and I'm going to have a very, very good position. Okay, and now in here, he went for this move, e6, because many beginners and many, intermediate chess players, when they see the opponent has a very good center, they're like, okay, let me just attack it. And many of you here in this position would think about, okay, let me just take the pawn. If he takes my queen, I'll take with the knight, and then he will take me here. Or let me just push, or try something else. Let's get the queen out. But the problem here with this kind of play, you are overreacting. Okay, when he plays a move like this, you are still, you finished the opening phase, and now you're in the middle game. But a very, very important concept in the middle game: develop your pieces. Get your king safe. You want the rook to be active. You want the bishop to be active. You want the queen to be out. You want the rooks to be very, very good, right? This is what you're supposed to do. And now what happens when you take this pawn? Well, you're not caring about what you're going to do with your pieces. You're just liking that you have two knights and you have the center. No, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to push. You're not supposed to take castle. I castled my king in this position, and I was like, okay, he wants to take, I will take back. So there's no point of his move. I don't really care. I thought about this move as just a developing move to get his bishop out here, or bishop to c5, one of these two moves. And I was like, okay. In the end, he decided to take. I took with the pawn because if he managed to push this pawn, I might have some kind of basser, and I can just just develop, and it's very protected. And put the queen here, get the bishop out, put the rook on d1 to protect the pawn, and I'm really happy about my position. And now he went bishop to b4. And now the thing that I understand of this move, why he did not go for a check. The best move is actually to go for this check. Why? Because to force me away so that he can castle right away. So he just earned a move. He just won a move, literally, for just a tempo, attacking my king. But he went here. And I think his idea was like, okay, he wants to take my knight. After I take with the pawn, he will win this pawn with the queen or with the knight. But of course, I know that I have to keep defending this pawn. And after he takes me, I take with the other knight. And I keep defending this. So I was like, okay, I'm just inviting him to take the knight. And after he takes a knight take, I have a very good knight, and I have strong pieces defending the pawn, and I'm gonna give a check soon, and he will not be capable of castling. So this is very bad for him. So now he decided to castle in time, because if he didn't do so, he will be in very big trouble. And here I was like, okay, in the middle game, you just have to activate your pieces. So I was like, okay, let's activate the queen, attack a weak pawn that's not defended, get the bishop out, get the rook out, and just control the open file. This is what you're supposed to do with the rooks. The rooks are supposed to be on open files. They're not supposed to move this one because it's already protecting this in case the bishop went out on a journey. Just putting the other rook here or here, this will be better. Now he pushed the pawn because he was afraid to lose the pawn, and I went bishop to d2, activating the bishop. Why not bishop to e3? Bishop to e3, he can just attack it, and I have to play like rook to e1, and now the bishop, whenever I move it, he will try to take and stuff. I was like, let's just go bishop to d2, put the rook on e1. I will have very good rooks, and this pawn is protected twice, and the position is nice. Now he went here with the queen. I don't really understand what is the point. Yes, he's developing the queen, but if his main goal was to try to get to this pawn by playing knight to h5, it's not a good move because simply g3, the queen can defend, the knight can go back. Just simply a lot of ways for me to defend the pawn. Okay, and now I went rook to e1. As you can see, all my pieces are active, controlling important squares, and very, very beautiful position. Here he went like with rook to e8. Now, many mistakes here, many beginners and intermediate players, when they see this move, they're like, okay, let me just take. He will take with the rook. Oh, with the knight, I don't care. I just don't like the rook being here. But after you take, he will take with the other rook, and now you cannot challenge this rook unless you went rook to e1, and then he takes you, and then you take. And this is the mistake that you guys are doing. You just traded the entire rooks on the chessboard, and for what? For what? You want to play with your hands or you want to play with your pieces? Of course, you want to play with your pieces, not with your hands or legs. So you are supposed to keep pieces on the board. So don't take. Don't take. You will give him control over that e file. Let him the one who will be taking you so that you can take with this rook and you will have a very, very good structure. I decided to move my king, and now he went for the move a5. The move a5, just trying to attack my queen. Simple one mover. He was supposed to get the rooks here, control this, try to go for a pawn break, something like that. Just developing the rook so that the rook will be better, and more active. And now here I decided to attack the knight. I was like, if he went here to h4, I will just trap the knight. He cannot move. He cannot go here. And this is a very good move because you are just forcing him away, Instead, he went knight to e5. And now, as an advanced chess player, when I see a move like this, I look at the queen and I have a bishop. I always go for a kind of way to punish my opponent's mistake. Now, this is a very big mistake because it allows me to pin the knight to the queen. Now, the knight cannot move, and if the queen moves, he might lose the knight. So he went here with rook. Now he's developing, but this move is not really looking at this target of mine. So I decided to play this move, knight to b5, attacking his queen. Now you might say that I'm losing this pawn. Well, I'm not, because if he takes with the queen, I just take with the queen. If he takes with the knight, I just go takes, 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 and I'm up 2 points of material. He's losing. And if I take with the queen and he takes with the rook trying to defend this knight, I can just play knight takes c7, and this is a fork, and he is losing the game. So in both ways, he cannot really do that. So he went back, and this is how to apply more pressure. After the queen moved, now I understand if I take this knight, he cannot take it with the queen because obviously I will just win it. So this move, I realize it's just a blunder, and I can just take the knight. And now he went here, taking my pawn. Now you have to be careful because yes, you want to attack the queen by discover attack. And if you just want to go here with bishop to f4, for example, he can actually sacrifice the queen. And after I take and he takes, there is no way for me to block it, and I'm checkmated. So this is why I have to be careful. Even though I'm up 2 points of material now, I still have to be careful. So I went with the bishop back to g3. In case he take, now there are two defenders, so there will be no checkmate on the back rank. And now he went here with the knight. This is another mistake. Another mistake is, pinning your pieces to a stronger piece. So this is a lower value piece, and you're just pinning it to the queen. So this is very bad. You're just supposed to move the queen away. Just move it anywhere, and the rook will be protected, and he will be fine. But this is the mistakes that's been played by beginners and intermediate chess players. He went here and was like, okay, I'm stopping the attack on my queen, and I'm attacking his rook. But he doesn't know if he moved the queen now, he will simply lose the knight for nothing. Now I decided to play the move rook to f3, even though I can take, and after he takes a knight take, and he takes, it still will be winning for me. But I was like, let's go rook to f3. I'm making use of this knight being pinned to the queen, and I'm just going to take it and attack the queen. That will be fine. He played this move attacking my queen. I decided to take with the queen attacking him. And it's protected by a lot of pieces. He takes, take, take, take. And my opponent in this position thought that he had to checkmate in one. But after this move, I can obviously just go back. This is why I put the bishop on g3 to protect the back rank. After he takes a knight take, he resigned. So one of the most important lessons that I want to share with you in this in this game, when you want to move your pieces from danger, make sure to think what your opponent wants to do. He wanted to go there, and he was like, okay, the rook cannot take because my rook is defending and the queen is defending. But he did not think about me putting the bishop on f4, pinning the knight to the queen. So this is a shortcoming from him. He did not calculate this move. He just played it here, thinking that I cannot take it right away, but he did not thought about that I can pin it. Another mistake that my opponent played, he's not using his rook. He's not using all of his pieces. As you can see, I have a rook, another rook, the bishop is out, the knight is protecting and controlling the center, the queen is out and defending. Everything is active in my structure, everything. And look at his rook. The rook is still on the starting square and is not controlling anything, is not doing anything. And he's just making a random move to attack my queen. And you have to, guys, to solve this one movers. This one movers will not give you anything. Even if you played it, I cannot take it because that will lose this pawn, but I will just move away and improve the position of my queen to actually a better square, controlling this square, and that will be better for me, right? So he's not supposed to go for one mover just to attack a queen. I play this move not because it's just a one mover. This move forces him to do what? To undevelop his piece. So this piece is developed. He cannot go here because he will simply lose it. He cannot go here because he will simply lose it as well. And he needs to go back here, undeveloping his piece, and this is not going to be good for him. And when he goes here, thinking that I cannot take it, I just pinned it, and now he's not in a good position anymore. And also, with this move, you know, when I attack a piece, when we attack a pawn, they're like, oh, I don't want to lose the pawn, so let me just push it and defend it. There's a lot of ways for him to add counterplay and to attack and use his rooks to become more active in getting his pieces active. But still a move like this is fine, but he was supposed to go queen to d7, getting the rook out, trying to double up on the open file. That's what he was supposed to do because the pawns are protected. But here he decided to use his queen, play this, you know what, I just want to trade the rooks, but he knows that I will never take. Because a very important concept, don't take a rook and allow another rook to replace the open file. No, let him take you so that you will replace it with one of your rooks and you will have the open file for yourself. You will have more control, right? So I just moved my king, you know, in case he gave any checks. I'm just waiting for him. And a very, very, very important concept in the middle game. Because one of the players, like either you or your opponent, one of you will blunder, okay? This is the only way for one of you to win. One of you has to blunder. So what do? All you have to do is just pass. Pass the blunder button to your opponent. Let him blunder. Let him do the mistake. What did I do in this position? I just made a calm move, just moving my king away from check, and I was like, let him do the move, let him do the mistake, let him do the blunder, and look at this. He played this move, one mover, attacking my queen, trying to attack my queen, which doesn't work, and it is just a time waster. So he's just wasting time. He was supposed to try to double up, put the other rook here, or just develop his rook, go for a pawn break, develop his queen, because if you played actually c6, I cannot take it. I will lose my bishop, right? He was supposed to go for active moves, attacking me, making pawn breaks, developing his rook, but he just went for this move, which allowed me to attack his pieces, undeveloping his piece, and pinning his piece, and losing the game. So always, in the middle game, don't make a very critical move. Don't make a very important move. Every single move that I made from the beginning of this game is do what? From here, I'm just going to walk you through every single move that I played. Here, I'm just developing my pawns. I developed my knight. Here, I took control of the center. I attacked his piece because why not? It's protected by a lot. And I'm just opening up for my bishop. I attack once and I take more control of the center. I took a pawn. Here I develop my piece. And I'm ready to castle. See, I'm just castling. I'm just helping my pieces get better positions and activate my pieces on better squares. Try to get the queen out here. And all what he's doing, he's just like, let me take. He could have given this check and castled his king and he would be in a good position, but no, he wants to take the knight, which could be replaced by another knight. So he just lost the bishop for nothing, and I still have a bishop. And a very important thing, don't trade a bishop for a knight unless it's very good, unless you are damaging the structure or forcing an isolated pawn or just simply trying to win a pawn. But this move, I can just replace it with another knight, and he just continuing the game without a bishop. That's very not good. And look, this move, I'm just developing my queen, still protecting and attacking, right? He played this, and I was like, okay, let's activate the bishop on a better square. Let's connect the rooks. See, remember in the opening lesson that I gave you earlier, connecting the rooks, trying to put them on an open files, and that will be it. And all I had to do is just wait for him to do the blunder. Here, that was the blunder, allowing me to pin the knight to the queen. He did not move the queen. He kept the queen there, and I was like, okay, let's just attack it. And after he moved here, this move, it is a second blunder because I can just take this knight and he cannot take because he will lose his queen. So, a very important takeaway from this middle game mini lesson, just keep developing your pieces. Keep putting them on an optimal square, on a better square, and just keep shuffling your pieces and wait. The most important thing in chess and in the middle game, you just have to be patient. You just have to be patient and just pass the blunder button to your opponent. Let him do the blunder, let him do the mistake, and then you will punish him for it. After he makes this move, and I'm just, after this move that I played, knight here, he can never attack my knight. My knight is protected by the queen, and I'm attacking his queen, and I'm improving the position. I'm attacking more pieces. I'm controlling more squares in his position. So this is a very good move. This is not a one mover. This is a very good move that's controlling squares in his position and attacking a queen, forcing it away. And he just did this blunder, and I just had to take. And in this position, he's just down 2 points of material. He can't do anything about it, and he lost this game. So I'm just gonna summarize everything that you have, learned in the opening and the middle game, this lessons. In the opening, take control of the center squares. Okay. Develop all your pieces, develop the knights, develop the bishop out, and then get the rooks on open files, okay, open files, and then get your king castled, connect the rooks, and then in the middle game, just improve the position of your pieces. Every single move, literally every single move that I have made was just a developing move. Here, I was just forcing him to take so that I can develop this knight to a better square. This, and then I went the queen out, developing. Here, moving away out of any checks and just passing the blunder button to him. I'm like, okay, let's see if he's gonna blunder and do something bad. He did not. He just went here, and yes, that is a small mistake, not a big blunder. It's just a mistake. This is called a time waster. Like, what are you doing with this move? You just want to attack me? I can just move the queen away. That's just dumb. Put the rook here. He did not play it. He did not try to, double up, control at the center or anything. Now with this move, I waited him to blunder, and that's it. That is the blunder. And after this, he just completely lost. Okay? So be patient in the game of chess. Whenever opening you want to play, it will be fine. In the middle game, develop your pieces. Control more squares, more active squares. Look at my bishop, how strong my bishop is. Look at my knight. That's very strong. Look at my queen developing, defending this and also controlling a lot of squares. It's already developed. Look at my rooks, how active they are. Look at my king, how safe it is. See? You just have to make developing moves and be patient. I promise you, your opponent will make the blunder. If you did not blunder, your opponent will, and then you will make use of that blunder and win the game. Now we're going to go for the endgame lesson. Hello everyone. Now we're going to go through the endgame course, trying to help you understand the endgame phase better and trying to win every single endgame that you face. Now, which pawn should you advance to force a winning queen versus the bishop ending? Now, if you actually promoted this one, it will not be that much winning because the bishop can actually take it. After you take with the king, he will go here, and after you push, he will go there, and he will stop the pawn. So you're not supposed to make this queen. You have to go push this pawn so that after he takes it, he is forced to take it. Now you'll make this queen and win. Now we're going to see another position. As you can see, black is trying to push the pawn and make a queen. And I'm not going to show you only winning endgames for you. I'm going to also show you losing endgames, or you think that it's losing, and how to actually save it. See, using the king will not be beneficial because the king is very, very far away from the pawn and you cannot stop it. And if trying to put the knight here, he will just push it. He will put the knight here, he will push it, and unfortunately there is no way to stop your opponent from making a queen. So the only way to play this is to give this check, so that when the king moves, you can go here, and after he pushes, you have the time to go knight to c4, and whenever he pushes, you will take it and you will be winning this endgame. Now we're going to show you another one. Now, your king is very far away from the defense of the pawn, and now you have to push it to make this queen. Now, many of you here would try to take thinking that it could be a draw. It's not a draw because after it takes, of course it's a draw, but you don't take. This is winning for you. You push the pawn, and now whenever he moves the knight, you make a queen, and this is winning for you as well. I'm going to go through a lot of endgames to help you understand the endgames better. Now you have a rook defending a pawn, and you want to make a queen, so you just push it. After he goes to the back rank, you push it once again, and he goes here. And many of you make this mistake of, okay, now I cannot move the rook because I'll lose the pawn, so let me just go king to f1, king here, king here, king here, king here, here, try to attack the rook to try to push the pawn. And no, this will be draw. This will be a draw. The only way to win is to play rook to c1 actually. He cannot take it because that would be back rank checkmate. See, the king cannot move in that position. Now you just have to force this check he needs to take, and then he will make a queen, and he will be winning this endgame. Check another one. Now, let's say this is white to move, and you want to make a pass pawn. Whenever you see you have two pawns versus one pawn, always think about sacrificing one of the pawns so that you can push the other one. So now in this position, we play the move b6, and our opponent trying to make a queen. Now, this is very, very important. If you decide to push the pawn, you will be losing this game. Why? Because this, it's not winning anymore. It's not winning. Because when you go here, he makes a queen, you make a queen, and it will be inevitable checkmate. Unlimited checkmate, checks for your opponent. So you have to take the pawn so that when he makes a queen, as you can see, the king and the queen are on the same diagonal. So making the queen now will win you the queen, and this will be definitely winning endgame for you. Now we're gonna check another endgame. I'm gonna go through a lot of endgames just to help you out. Now we have to check this one. Now black king, in order to draw this game, the black king needs to go on a8. So if you push the pawn right now, the king will go here, you'll push again, and then the king will try to get to that square, and that will be a draw. So the only way to try to win this endgame is to simply shoulder the king out of the defense of the promotion square, and by playing the move king to b7, he moves away, and now you have all the time in the world to push the pawn and make a queen, and this will be winning. Now here, you want to make this pawn a queen. And many of you would not even think, even if you're low on time, that does not mean that you're free to make this move and you're going to make a queen. You have to think, even if you're low on time, you have to think, how can my opponent stop this? And if you play the move b2 trying to make a queen, he can simply put the bishop on f5 and stop you from making that queen, right? So what do? Before playing this move, you have to go king to e4. Sorry. I messed up. King to e5, so that the bishop will not go here, and he can never stop you from making the queen. So now you just push. He gets the bishop here. In case you move the king, he will put the bishop there, and you will never you'll never make a queen. Now you make the queen, and now this is winning for you. Another one. You want to make this pawn a queen, but you cannot really do it right now, because if you push, this will not be winning for you. If you push, the king will be here, and he will stop the pawn, and he will take it. So this, you have to shoulder the king out, and it's by playing the move king to d7, and now the king can never get close, and this is a red carpet for your pawn. You will make a queen and win this. Let's check another one. Here, you're playing with the white pieces, and you want to make a queen somehow, but you cannot because the king is holding that square. If you move the king, he's just gonna push his pawn and make a queen. So, in this way, in this kind of position, You have to understand that you can sacrifice a pawn, you can sacrifice a piece in order to push one of your pawns to make a queen. And now the only way to win this is to actually make a queen here, forcing him to take. Now you remove the king out of the defense of this pawn, and after you take, you will have opposition. You're shouldering the king out, and this will be a red carpet. After this, and he pushes the pawn, you will be making a queen first. And after he pushes, don't panic and give checks and escort the king here to protect the pawn. No, when he goes here, simply go to e1 and just try to get to the pawn and take it and win this endgame. Let's go for another one. Now, this position is not for white. Okay, white is going this way. Okay, so what white wants to do is to put the king on g7, okay, and push the pawn and make a queen and checkmate you. So in this losing endgame, what do? You have to keep the king here in order the pawn not to be pushed to h8. So the only move is to play king to f7. And when he goes here, is to actually keep this a draw. Sorry, the only move is to go king to f8, so that the king will never run away. You play this move, you're shouldering the king out, and this is it. Now we're gonna go for another one. I'm gonna go through every single position, every single endgame that you might face, so that it will be the best endgame video you ever seen. Now in this position, he has a bishop and a rook against your queen, and you want to make this pawn a queen. So how can you do that? I mean, it's impossible, because you want to remove the pawn, and you want to remove this pawn from this position, and the only way to remove it is to force it out of here by taking this rook. And now he's forced to take it, and now you push the pawn, and there's no stopping you from making this queen. Let's go. Now it is white to move. Now you have to find a way to promote this pawn to a queen. But if you play this move, he will just take it. So what can you do here? A very, very beautiful move in this position is to try to hold on to this bishop, just pin the bishop, or force it to do a move that it's not, you just deflect it away from the defense of the f8 square, and it is the move bishop to d4, pinning the bishop so he can never take. Now after he takes here, you make a queen, and this is a winning endgame for you. Let's go for another one. Now it is white to move, and you have to find the only move to make this pawn, the h pawn, promote. Okay, so try to find it on your own before I try to solve it for you. If you thought about just pushing the pawn, it will not be that useful. Why? Well, simply because he can play the move f4, and your bishop is hanging, and then he wants to play f5 to hold on to that square here. So what should you play? Okay, so in this position, you're not supposed to push the pawn right now. You have to make this pawn a queen, but you cannot do that because he can play the move f4 and then f5, so that the bishop will become active and will hold on to that square. So the only way to stop him from doing that is to put the bishop on f4. And when the king takes, now you can push, and there is no way to push the pawns to stop you from making the queen. You will make the queen and actually win this game. Let's go for this one. How can you make this pawn a queen? Let's focus on trying to find the best move for white here. Now you want to safely promote this pawn to a queen, but there's always will be the move rook to a8, and if you want to push here, he will go there, and this is not so winning for you. So what do? I am thinking about the move rook to e8, because he can never put the rook here, because you can obviously take it. And if rook to e8 and he takes with the king, you just go here, and he puts the rook there, you can make a queen and take the rook. So I'm thinking after this move, he can just put the rook there and hold on to that square, and we can never make a queen. So as an advanced chess player, I'm solving this with you, okay? I'm just giving you some endgame knowledge, and I'm also training myself. And I know that the best way to train or to learn is to teach. I'm going to go rook to e8. It's actually the best move, very nice, to stop the rook from actually stopping us from making a queen. We go here, and this is a winning, because whenever he pushes, we make a queen, and this is a winning endgame for us. Let's go for another one. Now, can you find a powerful sacrifice to force open the C file? To force open the C file so that the pawn will become a queen. How can you make a queen with this pawn on C3? Now I saw it right away, but I need you to find a way to actually make this queen. The way is, I'm thinking about knight takes here or knight check. Well, if we gave this check, let's calculate together, okay? If we gave this check knight to d3 check, he can take with the pawn. We push here, it is a check, and he cannot go here because of our pawn. So I'm thinking about this move. Let's see why knight takes b3 is not a good move. Well, if knight takes b3, let's think about it. He's not forced to take it, right? If we take this, he's not forced to take it, because if he takes, that will be a check. The king cannot go here, and the king cannot go here, so he's losing. So white, of course, will not take us. So a more forcing move is knight to d3 check. Why it is more forcing? It's more forcing because you're trying to win the rook. So this move is better than knight takes b3, and he needs to take, and after this check, he cannot get closer, and you will make a queen. Let's go for another one. Okay, now let's go for this one. How can you make a breakthrough in this kind of position? White has a winning pawn breakthrough that forces a passed pawn. Can you find it? So let's say that you stopped the video for a while trying to find the best move for white here, and the winning move is to play g6. After he takes your pawn, you don't take back, because after he takes, you will take, and he will get his king closer to win the pawn. The only way to win this is to play the move f6, because if you take here, you just take this pawn and make a queen. And if you just didn't do anything, you're just going to take, so he needs to take you. And now you don't take here, you just push the pawn, and this will be winning. I mean, he's not going to have time to make a queen because you are too fast to make a queen. You'll give some checks, you will pick up all the pawns, and this will be a winning endgame for you. Let's see another one. Which pawn move forces the passed pawn for white? So this is the exact same position. We're going to repeat it for you so that you will always remember it. When there's a 3 versus a 3, all you have to do is to give away the pawn in the center. And then what do? You give away another pawn, and then you will take here, and you will make a queen. And whenever he pushes, you can even just take the pawn. After he goes here, you will go queen to h5 and take the pawn, and you will be winning this. Here, black is attacking white's pawn on g5, attacking this pawn. What is the best move for white here? Now, if you take, let's just think about taking here. He will just take back, and this is a draw, because whenever you push, this is dead and this is dead. So the only way to win this is to play the move f6. Now, the move f6, it's winning. Why? Because if he takes here, you take like this and you make a queen. And if he pushed, well, he's just going to take this pawn and make a queen. So he is forced to take, and after that, you just take this pawn, and you'll be making a queen and winning this endgame. Another time, let's see. Black has only one pawn move that doesn't lose. Which move is it? Now, the exact same position that I've shown you earlier. Let's see if you can find it. So in this position, white wants to make a passed pawn and win this game. Remember, by the move g6, but we have the first move. So what we're supposed to do is to play the g6 ourselves, and after he takes, you just take back with this move, and if he pushes, this is a draw, and if he takes, you will take back, and this is still a draw, because you will always move the king here and here, left and right, and this will end up in a draw, and you saved the draw from this potential win for white. Let's see the final one. Can you find a way to force a winning pawn endgame? Now, you want to win with the white pieces, but how can you do that? The only way to do that, remember how you are supposed to have 3 pawns here and 3 pawns here, and go with this move in the center, sacrificing a pawn and then sacrificing the other pawn to make a queen? Well, there are not 3 pawns like this. So how can you make them 3 pawns? Yes, the move is queen to c5 check, forcing a queen trade. Then you will take like this. And after you take, remember, he cannot go for any kind of tricks, because you will definitely just take it. And after you take it, you can make a passer on this side or on this side. And if you just move the king, you will go for the move yourself, and this will be winning for you. I think we're going to go for another one, another endgame lesson. Let's go for this one. Can you find a way to force off both black's knight and rook to enter a simplified winning endgame? So you really want an endgame, okay? And how can you force an endgame with the pawns? So you have to remove the knight and the rook. Rook d1, it's also fine, but he's not forced to take. You know, you want to force this. You want to force this trade. I think it's bishop takes knight. Yes. And then what do you want to play here? You want to trade off the rooks. Why you want to trade off the rooks? Because if he takes and you take back, remember I told you when you have two pawns and only one pawn here, you want to sack one of the pawns so that, you know, not sacking. Because if you push, you can just push yourself. And if he takes, you will have a passer on this side, while your king and pieces will target the pawns here. And this will be winning for you. Let's go for another one. Can you find a winning plan that forces a trade of queens when black's best pawn will be unstoppable? So you're playing with black and you want to make this pawn a queen. But you cannot do that right now. You cannot do that because there's still a queen and he can still fight. So what are you going to do here? Let's see. It's very simple to me and I've seen it, but you have to figure it out on your own. Okay, I cannot show you every single solution. You have to figure out on your own as well. The only way to force a queen trade is to look for some kind of a pin. You want to pin the queen to the king, but the king is not here. The king can never be on the same diagonal as the queen, so you have to force the king here. So the only way to do that is to play this check, and after the king goes here, since there's a pawn there, you will force a queen trade with queen to f4 check. He's forced to take. After you take, this pawn is unstoppable. The king is very far away from defending, and this will be winning for you. Now in this position, it is the world champion, Mikhail Botvinnik. He has the black pieces, and can you find this? Find his winning idea. He wants to trade everything, and end up in a winning pawn endgame for himself. So how can he do that? Can you find his winning idea to trade down into a winning position? Let's see. Well, the queen is pinned, okay, and he wants to take it. So if we take here and he takes, and then what you have to do after you take the rook and he takes, this bishop is stopping this pawn from making a queen, but this bishop cannot stop you from controlling that square with the pawn and making a queen here. So you just push the pawn on b3. And after he makes a pawn move or a king move, whatever, you push the b2 and he's forced to sack the bishop, but then after you take, you will make a queen and this will be winning for black. Now, how should white exchange into a winning endgame? See, this is a winning endgame for you because you have an outside passer. You just have to force the queen out of here and win the game. So how are we going to do that? Stop the video and try to find it. Come on. It is very simple. Exact same example that I showed you before. Force a queen trade through a check or through a potential check. So this is a beautiful check. You're defended by the pawn. He's forced to take, and after you take, the king will take, and the pawn is so close to promoting, and the king is very far away from stopping it. So yes, if you found it, you're a very good chess player. Queen to b7 check, takes, and now after he takes here, you will simply push the pawn, make a queen, and this will be winning. Now for the last position here, how can white ensure that the last pawn will survive? So how can you make this pawn survive this endgame and make a queen? Exactly. You want to force a trade. Exactly like I showed you before, you force the trade of queens. Now, this is a potential pain in the ass that he might sacrifice himself. Like if you push the pawn, he will just sacrifice his knight, and after you take, this is a draw because of insufficient material. So what you have to do is to play this check yourself, and he's forced to take, and after you take back, this will be winning for you, because if king to e8, what you play? Remember, Yes, you play opposition king to g7. You are shouldering the king away so that you will have a red carpet for your pawn and make a queen. I tried my best to cover a lot of endgame positions in this endgame mini lessons, and hopefully it was very helpful for you. And after that, we're going to be going for the tactics and calculation course. Okay, now we're going to talk about tactics. Okay, most of the games under 2000 ELO are won due to a tactic. So you have to be very, very, very careful and also open your eyes to tactics all the time. Now, many of you in this position would try to, I will play knight to e4, I will attack the rook and I will attack the pawn, but in this position you're already down 2 points of material, so it doesn't really work. Even if you try to win this pawn, it doesn't really work. The only way to make sure to win this is to fork the king and the rook some way. And to do so, you have to play the move g5. Now he cannot go here because of the knight. If he went here or he takes, he will be in the perfect position to play this fork and win the rook. You always have to be careful, and you also have to be, focused during the game and try to find these kind of tactics. If he takes, that's a check. He goes here, and then you take the rook. And the exact same way, if you give this check and he went up, that will be the exact same thing, and you will win the rook, and that will be winning for you. Now I'm gonna show you a lot of positions. Of course, I'm going to start with easy ones, and then I'm going to go for a little bit harder every single time. So now stop the video and try to find the best move for black here in this position. Now, as you can see, there is no captures for you unless you want to capture this pawn with the queen and give away the queen. You can capture this bishop. This is the only move. But you have to ask yourself, what will happen after he takes with the rook? Well, you can see that the rook and the knight, both of them are not defended. And the knight cannot go back to defend the rook. Why? Because the queen is in the way, right? So after you take the bishop and he takes with the rook, now you can fork these two by playing the move queen to d5. Now the knight cannot go back to defend. The queen cannot go here or here to defend both of the knight and the rook because of our strong knight. So now white goes all the way back and you win the knight. You have to spot this from a mile away. You have to spot this really, really fast. Okay? You ask yourself, when I take, what will happen? He will go here. Okay, how can I fork both of these two pieces? Okay, going here. What can he do? Can he go back with the knight to defend? No. Can he go here or here to defend both of them? No, that means this is a winning move and you have to find it. And now, of course, he will save the rook instead of the knight, and he will pick up the knight and win. Now we're going to go for another position. I'm going to show you a lot of positions, okay? Here. What would you play here in this position? Well, you can see that after the move bishop to e4 attacking your queen, you'll move your queen to f7. Why? Because you don't want him to take, and after you take, he will win the queen. So you have to go here so that you want to defend the pawn. But unfortunately, you're already down one pawn, okay? And he has a rook, okay? And the rook is very strong. So what will you play in this position? Yes, if you find the move queen takes e4, you're very good at tactics and finding forks, because when the queen takes, you will play this check, and after the king moves here, you will take the queen, and this is a winning endgame for you because you're going to win the pawn. And two pieces for a rook, it's always better, and also your king is close to attack this pawn and defend the pawn and promote to a queen. I'm going to show you another one, another position, and the last one for the fork kind of type. Okay. What would you play here in this position? Now, don't think that your knight is hanging. The knight is not hanging. The queen is defending. What would you play here? Okay, now if you thought about the move f6, you are very good. Why? Because he cannot take with the queen, obviously. He will lose his queen, and he cannot take us here because the queen is defending. And now, when he takes with this pawn, thinking that you just made a mistake, now, the only reason you play this move is to do what? Is to open up the king so that the queen will be capable of giving this check and pick up the knight. This is why you play this move. You remove the pawn to remove the other pawn to give this check to pick up the knight. After takes, check, he blocks with the queen. Of course, you don't trade queens, you just take the knight, and this is winning for you. Always be focused in your games and try to find tactics. Tactics are everywhere, especially in the middle game and the end game. Okay? I'm going to show you another type of tactics here, which is here in this position. In this position, black played the move queen takes rook, thinking now you just blundered and blunder your rook, and now black is winning. But white has a winning move, and it is, of course, you found it, it's queen to h8 check. The king's forced to move away because whenever you see a king and a piece on the same diagonal, in any kind of diagonal or any kind of rank or any kind of file, whatever, try to make use of that. Okay, if any piece is connected to the king somehow, make use of that. Giving this check, the king needs to move away, and then you will pick up the queen and you're winning this endgame. I'm going to show you another one. Here. In this position, what would you play? Sorry, now it's black to move. He plays rook takes d4, and black in this position is up 2 points of material and is looking to take this, looking to trade off the rooks. And now, so trading the rooks will not be good for you because he can just put the rook on d8 and push the pawn, and you're losing, and he's already up 2 pawns. So what would you play here? Well, one of the moves to play, and it is the best move, is to play rook to h1. Why? Because now you're threatening one move checkmate. If he pushes the pawn or push the other pawn, it will always be the check. Let's say he goes here, you play this check. It's not checkmate, he can go here. Sorry, it is checkmate. You have to go here. That's checkmate. Well, let's say he did not push that pawn, he pushed here. Well, you can also go here and try to go for this kind of a checkmate, but at a certain point he needs to move the king. So the first move here, he moves the king away, and now the reason you played this is to give this check. So now when the king moves, with this skewer you just won the rook, and now this is winning endgame for you. Let's show you another one. Here. What would you play in this position? This was black to move. Okay, so in this position, white is attacking the pawn on b7. So what does black do? Black goes rook to b8, trying to defend the pawn. And this is one of the most passive ways to defend the pawn. You don't want to put a rook behind a pawn that is not even going to push and make a queen. So there's no point of putting the rook there. And can you find a way to punish this move? Rook to b8? Yes. Now I'm training you to find the tactic, which is a skewer. Skewer in this position is to play bishop to g3. You're attacking the queen and x-raying the rook. The queen needs to go all the way back, and after you take the rook, he takes with the queen, and you're winning this endgame. Let's show you another one. Hopefully you are focused with me and you're trying to solve these. Let's show you this one in this position. What would you play here? White moved to e5. So would you take? Would you give some checks? What would you play? See, the entire point of this training on training you to find tactics is to be capable of finding winning moves right away and train you to recognize those patterns right away. Now, many of you here would try to use the queen because you think that the queen is the most powerful piece, so we can start checks with it. But when we start giving checks like this, the king can run away, so you don't want that. You want the king to not leave this rank or this rank. You want him to go here so that you can give some kind of a check and pick up the queen, right? So you play the first move, rook to c3 check. Now white has 3 options, here, 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 and all of them loses. If he went here, what you simply play You just play, like, you can just take here. That will be a discovery. You can just pick up some pieces. And probably a lot of ways to win this, but he did not go here. Let's say he went here. You just play this check, and he cannot move away because he loses the queen. Let's say he blocks. You force him to move away, and you pick up the queen. But of course, white did not play that, and white went here. Now, you don't give a check with the queen because the king can go back, and you cannot win the queen, even though if there is no king, because the knight is defending. This is why you have to give a check with a lower value piece, which is the rook. He goes there, and now you take the queen, and after knight takes or king takes, it doesn't matter. This is winning for you because you're going to take this pawn, and you're going to promote these two and win this game. Let's show you another one. Now we're going to go to another kind of tactic. Hopefully you are focused with me during this course. Okay, here. In this position, black played the move knight takes e4 check. Now he's giving check with the bishop, and this is a discovery. Okay. Now you cannot block the bishop. You cannot take the bishop, so you have to move the king. You cannot move here or here because of the queen, of course. So you move there. And black plays this move, trying to go for a draw. Now you cannot go for a draw because this is winning for white. So try to find the winning move for white here. Many of you will just try to go here after this check, go back, check here, but you don't want to end up in a draw, right? So after this check, what would you do? The way to win this is to play queen takes f2. Yes, giving up the queen. Why? Because his queen is also hanging, right? And he cannot take the rook because he can take it with a check, and then when he blocks, you take here, and after king takes, you can just give a check, and now you have a queen, and you will be winning. And after taking him, he cannot take because it's pinned by the rook. And if he takes us like this, takes our queen with the bishop, you can just take him like this. He blocks with the bishop, and you don't take. You don't take. You're just trading pieces, okay? You don't take. You take the bishop. You take the bishop. Now you're winning, 100% winning. Okay, now we're going to show you another position here. What would you play here? After white plays the move knight to e4. Knight to e4, as you can see, provides some defense for the pawn. He will castle later, and he's attacking your bishop. So what would you play here? Some of you would go bishop to e7, controlling the squares of the knight. Yes, your bishop will be very strong and the knight very bad, but there's a better way to win this, and it's to play the move. Yes, rook to e8. Rook to e8, you're pinning the knight to the king. And I told you earlier, whenever you see a king and a piece on the exact same file or the exact same diagonal or the exact same rank, what do? You make use of that, okay? Making use of this move to try to pin the knight to the king. He cannot defend it unless with a pawn. And now what do? You just play the move d5. And after that, no matter what does he do, like he wants to get the bishop out, for example, you can just pick up the knight. After he takes, that will be a blunder. He cannot take because that will be a check and you can pick up the bishop. So yeah, that will be winning for you. Let's show you another position. Here. What would you play if white played the move queen to f2? Now white is trying to go for a queen straight. Why? Because white in this position is up 2 points of material. So white is like, come on bro, let's just trade off the queens. I'll be very, very happy. But you, as someone who's playing with the black pieces, you want to take advantage of that because I told you, whenever you see a piece on the exact same diagonal as the king, you want to make use of that. How can you make use of this? Well, you might say, well, only if there was no knight here, and the bishop can go to e3, protected by the queen, so that we can pin the queen and take it, right? But you cannot play the move bishop to e3 because there's a knight in the way. So what do? Yes, you sacrifice the knight. This is a fork, so you will win the queen with the knight, unless he took. And now you play your move bishop to e6, bishop to e3, and he cannot take the queen. He needs to take the bishop, or if he did not, he just moved here. Well, you just take, and after takes, you can just move away, and this is a winning for you because you already have a queen and a rook. I'm going to show you another position, and here. In his position, black played the move, which is rook takes pawn. What would you play in this position? See, these rooks are attacking your rook. So two attackers, and there's only one defender of the rook. So what do you do here? Well, if you move the rook, you just lost your advantage. You're having a very big advantage here. And the move is to actually take the rook. Now, black plays this move. Bishop takes e5, protected by the rook and attacking your queen. But you have to pay attention to every piece on the board, to the entire position, and try to make use of that. I told you earlier, whenever you see a piece or a pawn or something in the same diagonal as the king, like this pawn and this, or this bishop, let's say there was a rook here and you can take it because the pawn is pinned to the king. So here, instead of moving your queen to d7, attacking this rook and attacking this pawn, you can actually play queen takes bishop. He cannot take you. Why? Because you're making use of the pin, right? The bishop is pinning this pawn. Now, if the king went here, congratulations, this is win with white. And if he went here, you can actually just take here, attacking the rook. He cannot, yes, he can give you the check, but after you move here, there is no checkmate because the knight is holding that square. Let's show you another position. Hopefully you guys are focusing during this course. Now, black in this position took your pawn. What would you play if you're playing with white pieces? I told you, whenever you see something as the same line and the same diagonal as the king, you make use of that. See, this pawn is pinned to the king, so he cannot take our queen. This is why he took this pawn. So what do you do here? Yes, you take the bishop. He cannot take you because it is pinned. So now black, plays a trick on you. He plays the move rook to e1 check. Now, if you took with the rook, you just lost your queen because you removed the piece that is pinning the pawn. That's why it's a blunder. You just have to take this pawn with the king. And after he takes your rook, you just take the rook back with your rook, and now this pawn is still pinned, and he cannot take, and this is winning for you. You're up 2 points of material. Let's show you something else. Here. In his position, white played the move bishop to g5, defended by the queen and attacking your queen. What would you play here? What kind of tactic you might see in this position? Now, you might, think, what about queen to g4? I'm just moving away out of any attack. But after the move f3, the queen cannot go here, cannot go here, cannot take, cannot take, cannot go here, cannot go here because of the bishop, cannot go here because of everything, cannot go here, and cannot take because of the knight. So your queen is trapped and you're losing the game. Instead, you look out for forcing moves. And the entire purpose of this course about tactics is finding forcing moves. And the most forcing move on the planet in chess is to play checks. Now let's say you thought about this move, queen to h2 check. Well, the king can just take. And yes, the rook will, yes, you will reveal an attack with the knight. But after the king moves away, there is no win for you. So, what do? You think of another check because you will lose your queen if you went here. What about queen to h1 check? Now, as you can see, the king cannot go there, right? So he needs to go to the corner, and now you can play this as a cover check. The king cannot go here because of obviously the rook. He needs to go to the g1 square, and now playing this will be checkmate. You have to make use of that. You have to find forcing moves. You have to figure out a way to win. Okay, it's all about tactics. Every single game that you play, your opponent will blunder and you have to find the winning tactic. I'm going to show you another position. Here. What would you play if black played the move d3 attacking your rook? If you just move the rook to e1, he will attack it one more time. And you cannot move it here because definitely you will lose your knight. Yes, he can take, but then he will push the rook here. And it will be very not good for you. The winning move here is to play f7 check. Now the king can now move anywhere. He needs to take this pawn 100%. And what I'm training you in this tactic called double check. Now if you play this double check, of course the king needs to move, but then he will take the pawn, and your rook is hanging, your knight is hanging. This is not a good double check. A better double check is to play this. You're taking a knight in the process. You're attacking the king, so the king is forced to move. He cannot take you. And if he takes here, you will play this check, and after one move, you play this, and this is checkmate, because it's defended by the bishop, and the knight holding those squares, and you're winning this. And if he moved somewhere else, well, you can simply make a queen. When he takes, you give a check, and after the king moves, now you can just freely move your rook, and this is still winning for you. Let's show you another position. Here. In his position, black is up 2 points of material, and black is a principled chess player. He's like, okay, I'm up 2 points of material, let's try to trade pieces. This rook is attacking this, and the queen is attacking this, so he's like, okay, this is a free pawn to me, let's just take it. But this move is a blunder, and you have to find the best tactic, the best winning move in this position. Yes, you can play this double check, and he can just take it. And this could be checkmate, but unfortunately, you cannot play it. Why? Because the queen is pinned. You cannot play that. So, a better move is to play bishop to e6 check. What you're doing with this move, you are disconnecting the rook from the defense of the queen. And the queen cannot take. Why is that? Well, it's a check with the bishop and a check with the queen. In these kind of positions, the king is forced to move. The king is forced. If the king moved there, the king moved here, you will just pick up the queen. If the king takes the bishop, now you can pick up the queen, and now you're winning this endgame. Let's show you another position. Here. In this position, black played rook to h6. What would you play in this position as white? Now, bear in mind that black is up 2 points of material, so you have to be careful. Okay, and no, you silly goose, it's not taking the rook, there's nothing there. Why just want to sacrifice the queen for no reason? Come on. And it's not about giving this check, because the queen obviously can just take. It is sacrificing the rook. And after the king, I mean, if the king went here, this is checkmate in one. Of course, he cannot play that. He needs to take. After this check, only one square to the king. You play this check with the pawn. He goes here, and this is checkmate. Why? He cannot take, and he cannot move the king, because this is double check. In a double check position, the king is forced to move, and if the king cannot move, obviously that's checkmate. Let's show you another kind of position here. See, in this position, white is up 1 point of material, and he did something that he's not supposed to do. And he went knight takes knight. What would you do in this position? See, the many positions you're gonna see in your games, your opponents will blunder, will leave hanging pieces on the board. They will simply just blunder. And this is not a blunder. Yes, this is a blunder, but you're supposed to take it. You're not supposed to take it. You're actually supposed to take the rook, because the rook is the piece that is actually hanging. And there's no check like this, because obviously you can just take with the queen. And now you're up 1 point of material, and now you're the one who's actually in control of this position. Let's show you another position where your opponent might blunder and leave his pieces hanging. In this position, white played the move bishop takes g7, sacrificing his bishop. Now, before taking, think about what will happen. Well, if I take, he can play this check. Okay, what else? If I take, he can play this or this check, which they are the same thing. There will be a check. And I cannot move up because of the queen holding that square and because of the rook. So what will happen? If I take this and he plays this check, I will be safe after king to h8. So it's definitely not a queen check, right? Right. Okay, so what about taking and he plays, for example, this check? Now, his entire idea, what white saw, that after you take here and he gives you this check, if you move to f8, he'll be very happy with checkmating you with one move, right? You cannot block and you're checkmated. But what white missed, that you can actually go to h8, and after the move gets in with like here, queen to h6, it's trying to give you this checkmate, You can just go here, and after he takes this pawn attacking your rook, you can just take here, and after the other rook takes. Yes, he's still threatening this checkmate in 1, but you simply play queen to f8. You're stopping this, and you're also threatening to trade off the queens. And even if you play the check like this, you don't take with the queen, you just take with the knight. And after like he takes, you take, he takes, this is still winning for you. You're up 6 points of material. Come on, let's show you another position. Here. In this position, I think black played the move because black was thinking, can I move this knight in a way that I will give it some kind of a check and I'll pick up the rook for free? He was like, okay, let's play this check. And when white plays b takes c3, black will go takes and black will be winning. And yes, black is absolutely right, but you will definitely see that the rook will be hanging after this knight. So you don't take with the pawn, you take with the queen, you're defending. And now when black takes the rook and you take with the queen, this is not hanging because the knight is defending and you are winning this. Let's show you another position. Here. In this position, black, didn't like his rook being there, attacked by the bishop, so he's like, you know what, let's just attack the bishop. But this is actually a blunder because it hangs a piece. And do you know which piece is hanging in this position? Well, yes, your bishop is hanging, but you don't move it. You're not winning if you're moving it. You actually take the bishop. Because when he takes your bishop, you can simply take this knight, because now you just took the defender of this knight, so he completely hang a piece and hang the other piece. Now after you take, this is winning for white. Let's show you another position. Here I'm going to show you a different type of tactic in this position, okay? In this position, black is up 1 point of material. And he was like, okay, let me just take this pawn. And he was thinking that, okay, you're going to castle kingside, you're going to play maybe rook here, and he can just go and trade the queens or maybe run away, stuff like that. But actually, you are winning here, but you have to find the winning sacrifice. Earlier, I showed you forks, I showed you skewers, I showed you hanging pieces, I showed you pins, and now I'm going to show you sacrifices, because these are the most common, not only sacrifices, the most common are forks and skewers and pins and double checks, and also sacrifices are common in most games. So I'm going to show you those. I'm not going to show you other stuff like deflection, hook stuff, and stuff like that, because they're not that common in your games. These are most common. Okay, now in this position you might be thinking, oh, only if I can fork the king and actually win the queen. But whenever you put the knight there, he will just take it. So you cannot play that. So how can you remove this bishop from here so that you can play this check and pick up his queen? See, the rook and the queen, okay, are lined up on here, on d8. So if you play this check, obviously the king cannot take you and he cannot move. He needs to take, and the only way to take is to take with the bishop. And this is what you want. You want to remove the bishop so that you can play this check and pick up the queen. So what is the best move? Yes, it is rook to d8 check. The king cannot take, of course. He takes with the bishop, and after this check, king moves, you pick up the queen, and you are winning. Let's show you another position. Here. In his position, white saw that his bishop is hanging and he needs to defend it, so he played rook to e1. What would you play here as black? See, this bishop is protected only once. So what would you do here? And protected by the rook. So you would actually take the bishop, because when he takes back, you play bishop to d4. You're pinning the rook. And if he played rook here, don't think about bringing the rook here. This is not the best move. Just play f4. The rook can now move, and even if you move the king, you will simply just take. And this is winning for you. You're up 3 points of material. Let's show you another position here. Okay. So in this position, I think the move that was played by black is queen takes f3. Now, black in this position is up 3 points of material. And now the exact same position I showed you earlier, how can you move this bishop in a way that you will reveal a forced attack on the queen so that you can pick up the queen? How can you do that? If you move the bishop now, you're threatening to play this. It's not checkmate because, of course, you're just plundering your dame queen. Come on, bro. The best way to actually reveal an attack on it is to play a check. You want to play a check with the bishop to the king. But it's not a light square bishop. So you have to force the king to be on a dark square bishop so that you can play this check and pick up the queen later. And the only move to do so is to play rook takes g7. Now, a quick reminder, if he went here, this is checkmate in 1. He cannot do that. He needs to take. And after your plan worked and you put the king on a dark square, now you can play this check. And when he takes, now you pick up the queen, and this is winning for you. Let's show you another position. And the last position in the sacrifice category. What would you play here in this position? Now, black is up 2 points of material, so trading the queens will be horrendous, especially going to lose another pawn as well. So it'll be down 3 points of material. The way to win this is also not to play a rook to e8 check because the queen can just take it. So the way to win this is to play queen takes f7 check. Now if the king moves to the corner, this is checkmate. Of course, your opponent will not play that. After you took here with a check, the only move for him is to play queen takes queen. Now you don't take the queen, the king will take, and the black will be winning. You played this queen sacrifice so that when the queen takes, the queen will be pinned by the bishop, right? The queen will be pinned, so the queen cannot move. And if the queen cannot move, that means this square is now protected, right? So now you just play rook to e8 check, and the king cannot move, he cannot block or take because the queen is pinned, and it is checkmate. So far, I told you about forks, I told you about skewers, about pins, double checks, hanging pieces as well, and sacrifices. I thought that these are the most common tactics that you might see in your game. In this course, we finished talking about the opening, and I'm gonna summarize everything that I told you in this masterclass. In the opening, it really doesn't matter what kind of opening you play. Just play any kind of opening, but make sure you play that only opening every single time. For me, with the white pieces, I play the Queen's Gambit. With the black pieces, I play against e4, I play Caro-Kann. Against d4, I play the Slav. I'm 100% stubborn. I play these kind of openings every single time. This is why my opening accuracy in every single game, it is between 95 to 100% accuracy in every single game. This is a very high accuracy in the opening. And the reason for that is that I play the exact same openings every single time. So I gained a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience in these openings. So for the opening phase, stick with only one opening for white and one opening for black, and keep playing those until you know them best. Second, if you don't know like opening theory or stuff like that, no need to learn opening theory or to read a book or whatever. You just have to play the exact same opening every single time and just control the center with your piece, with your pawns, and develop your pieces. Just develop, okay? Develop your knights, develop your bishops, castle your king, connect the rooks, stuff like that. In the middle game, don't go like, okay, I finished the opening and now I have to go for some pawn attacks, some attacks on pawns, stuff like that. No. Keep improving the position of your pieces. If the rook was here, put it on c1. If the rook was on f1 after you castled, put the rook on e1. If the queen is between those two rooks, put the queen on c2 and connect the rooks. Improve the position of your pieces. If there was a pawn, for example, here, and you have a knight here, put it on d6, and that is called outpost. You're creating an outpost for the knight. All you have to do in the middle game is just improve the position of your pieces. When you do so, keep doing that until your opponent makes a move. Okay, your opponent makes a move, and most of the time this move is actually a blunder. So all you have to do in the middle game, just be patient. Just be patient, bro. All you have to do, be patient. Let your opponent make the blunder. Let your opponent make the mistake. Okay, because 100%, one of you, okay, either you or your opponent has to win the game. And in order for some of you or one of you to win the game, one has to blunder, okay? So what you are supposed to focus at every single game in the middle game, focus on not blundering. You know what? I'm just gonna put my rook on c1. I'm gonna put the other rook on e1. I'm just gonna make a room for my king not to get checkmated on the first rank. I'm gonna develop my knight. I'm gonna put it on an outpost. Keep developing your pieces and leave the leave the blunder button to your opponent. Just pass it to him. You know what? Tell him, you make the blunder. You make the mistake. I'm gonna be patient, and you are not patient. Go for it. You make your move, and most of the time it's actually a blunder that they make. So just focus on that. And for the end game, I've showed you some end game positions with the pawns, how to checkmate with the queen and a king, how to checkmate with a rook and a king, how to checkmate with a king and a pawn, and I taught you the opposition rule. I told you how to make a pass pawn, which is the most important endgame principle in chess. Okay, this is the most important thing in endgames, because most of the time, you and your level, you will just trade the queens, trade the bishops, trade the rooks, trade the knights, trade everything, and you just want to play with pawns. So I told you how to create a passer. Okay, I told you how to create a passer when you have a 3-on-2, or you want to sacrifice one of them to push the other one, and about the tactics. I showed you here a lot of tactics. I showed you forks. I showed you skewers, pins, and double checks, and hanging pieces, and sacrifices to try to get a winning position after those tactics. And in the end, I want to tell you, just following what I told you in this masterclass, even though it is simple, and you probably heard those tips, but I just gave it to you in a condensed way, so that it will help you gain a lot of elo, and just focus on those. Okay, focus on the principles I told you in every single phase of the game, and focus more on tactics. And finally, if you are a beginner or intermediate chess player and you want to reach 1500 elo on chess.com, I can help you reach that by being your personal chess trainer. I'll play with you one rapid game every single day. Okay, and I'm going to tell you what mistakes that you have made, what you are supposed to do to try to hold on as long as possible. And also, I will provide for you 2 personalized videos going through your games, reviewing your games, some of your rapid games, telling you what you are supposed to do, what blunders you are making, and how to avoid them. And also, I'll provide you with a training plan so that you can follow, and also with a mindset plan to focus more on the game of chess and how to be 100% focused to win your games. And all of that is only for $49 per month. It's a monthly subscription. I will play with you a game every single day. You will get 2 personalized videos every single week going through your games and helping you advance in chess. And you will have 24/7 support from me whenever you wanted anything. You will show me one of your games. I will give you a tip, a quick tip. You want to message me at any time. It will be 100% easy for you and possible because I will provide my email in the description below. So if you're interested, it's going to be only for $49 per month. And bear in mind that any chess coach out there, okay, or chess trainer or club, wherever, they will take $50 or $100 per hour, per coaching hour, and I'm going to take that only per month. And I'll play with you every single day. Now, why do I do this? Well, I want to gain some knowledge from coaching, because I want to have some students to coach, and it's only going to be for 3 people, okay? I'm only going to help 3 people. So if you want to be one of those 3, make sure to contact me below. I will leave my email in the description below, and that's it. Bye.